welcome back to Skyrim 10 AD. We are on episode 29 in session 10 here. And if you're just joining us, we've just finished up in Dead Man's Drink in Falkreath, where Butty met an old mentor, Talsgar the Wanderer, and he gave her some training in some martial weapons. With the help from Volder and Mouse. And we also had experienced a little heart-to-heart with Luke and George and Lenny about some of his experiences back in Riften. And we had a little chat between Mouse and Jaquai about their rewards, their help. Mouse learning that Jaquai has been given permission to purchase property within Falkreath Hold. Known to Mouse, this would be a very great honor and not something that's given to everybody. But there seem to be some very heavy, well-tied strings attached to this offer. So join us back then, and it's probably getting late evening now. Creeping up on 8-9 o'clock, while you're all in the bar chatting with each other, having a couple of drinks, and it's getting towards that time of the night. What would you guys like to do?
Well, Mouse has fallen asleep in his chair and then leaning back, snorts and falls backwards onto the floor and gets up. Decides to just wander out into the evening and get some fresh air.
So as you guys watch, Mouse just gives you a little salute as he sort of like heads out the door to get himself some fresh air. Butty, you are still with Talsgar and Delacourt, enjoying a drink and a chat and a talk. Sort of like swapping stories. You're telling him of what you've experienced, or them, in Falkreath, and how you're loving it so far. And you got to see Helgen, where it all started, and sort of like, you've heard stories from other people, and you've met Avrusa Serethi, who says he never met, but he has heard of her, and a couple of stories of. Probably not should be shared in polite company. And Luke, you are still sitting with George and Lenny. Lenny's sort of like, watching the show with Butty and things like that. It's dying down now. She's coming back to sit back down with you. And Jaquai is fervently trying to meditate. Usually he has this very relaxed look at his face, but you can see the furrowed brow and the tweaking whiskers. It's kind of like a twisting bow tie. His nose in the center stays perfectly still.
And the twitching tail, yeah.
The whiskers are stuff like twisting from side to side, like a bow tie. Anybody you'd like to talk to, anything you'd like to do in this evening time? You're probably getting close towards the end of the day where you might be thinking about getting some rest.
So I'll at some sort of quiet moment when Lenny is settled down a bit, I'll look to George and say, so again, quietly, not for the whole bar to hear, but what are your plans now that you and Lenny are freed from a few different things that were binding you? What will you do next?
Well, we owe a debt to you. I would like to pay that debt back, but I don't think we are currently in any sort of condition to pay that debt back. I am really grateful for you getting, and to all of you, for getting me out of there and getting us out of that, and for saving both of us. Sort of like, she rubs the top of her chest through her armor. Like she's checking to see if it, making sure it hasn't come back. But maybe I was a little bit too bullheaded or too rash coming out here too quick. So I've spoken to Rusa. I didn't mean to do it behind your back, but she offered to give me some training in alchemy. She said I was thinking it would probably help, so we were going to stay here with her until we bother her too much that she tells us to leave, and then I was going to think about, and she looks to Lenny, sort of wraps him on the shoulders, to offer to escort her back to Riften, to Serethi Farm, make sure she's okay. And she's sort of she kind of winces, but we're a little short on funds. She puts her head down, sort of we were wondering, if you'd be able to help us out on that.
Of course. So I'm just trying to do some mental arithmetic. So I'm trying to think sort of what's thinking about keeping them solvent for maybe a couple of weeks. What would be their what I'm trying to think of is what's a reasonable sum to give them, not extravagant, but also not ensure they're well taken care of for a couple of weeks. What would the right sort of sum be? With the relative economy here.
You could probably think that living expensive, you just want to go bare living expenses, and I mean it does cross your mind that you fought alongside both of them, sort of putting this was it Alchemist to rest. It was his aid and also Avrusa's aid. Through it was with their help that you managed to sort of complete. Yeah. So that crosses your mind. But let's see. I'm trying to have a look at the book here and what it says for living expenses. You're probably looking around about 10 gold. No, not even. Probably about 10 gold a day, or maybe less than that for just normal. Yeah, here we go. So for a comfortable lifestyle, it would probably be 2 gold pieces per day to keep somebody sort of in a comfortable setting, so they can go to an inn, have a bed, sleep that night, have a full meal, get up, have breakfast, and everything like that. And so having a comfortable lifestyle probably be covering 2 gold pieces per day. So just sort of thinking about the total sum here. So I don't want to do this here in the middle of the common room, but I'll say let's over after breakfast tomorrow morning. Let's go meet back in the. And I'll sort of point sort of behind the inn. Yeah, presumably there's some sort of relatively quiet area where we can just meet. Let's meet up behind the inn in the morning, and we'll make sure that you've got what you need to take care of you and Lenny, and ensure that you're not only taken care of but also rewarded for all the help that you gave us with the alchemist. So just looking ahead to that, I'll give them, just sort of looking at sort of total booty that we've gotten and everything else, and maybe I'll give them, I don't have an exact running total, but just looking at everything we've gotten, I feel comfortable maybe giving them about
50 gold pieces out of the total party kitty. That that should keep them plush for for the better part of a month or so. Out of the party fund. I'll do that. Not here in the public room, but in the morning. Sort of assuming.
Yeah, I mean, you can
peacefully.
You can probably go to the rooms, because the rooms are like semi-private anyway. Nobody's looking in on you, and try not to imagine the rooms they're actually in the game, because there's only like 2 of them, and they're wide open and everybody can see you. But there are some semi-private rooms, and there is ones that have doors on them that you can sort of shut over and nobody can look in. And sort of there's bigger rooms that have like 8 or 9 beds in them, in sort of bunk bed type things, and sort of if they get a bunch of miners in one weekend. So. And they've got much better high class rooms downstairs, in a basement sort of area, which is where Avrus is apparently staying. You probably don't know that, you probably haven't seen her, but Mao's seen her come in and talk to Valga, and she headed downstairs to a private.
Yeah, so I'll give them maybe 50 gold, and I think we've got a variety of little miscellaneous gems and things. So maybe one gem worth maybe 10, 15 gold, something like that, just to give them a little bit of a stash that for emergency funds.
Yeah, was it Lenny is the one that sort of holds his hand out, and he's got a big smile on his face. Really? Because Lenny has never seen more than probably 2 gold in his entire life, and at that point it was in someone else's hand anyway. He's never seen this amount of money before, ever, and you can see the jubilation in his eyes when you're sort of and you go, do you say anything directly to him, or is it sort of
So yeah, so to both. So I give the money to George, who seems a bit more. A little more centered, and I say, this is for both of you, Lenny. This is for your food, for your shelter for the next few weeks. I think George says you're going to help out Bruce.
Yeah, no, don't worry. I'm not going to spend any of that. I'm going to get so much gold, and I'm going to live in a castle. Nobody's going to come anywhere near me ever again, or any of us. We're going to get our own private house and private land. Farms, and going to be having mammoths out there, and we can watch the mammoths as they walk across the tundra, and nobody's going to be landing apart from you, obviously, and Butty and Jaquai and Mouse. You guys can all come over, and you can come over to mine and George's houses. But yeah, don't worry, I'm not going to spend the gold. George actually gives him the gold. And he goes, you better keep that safe. He goes, yeah, don't worry. And you see the avarice in his eyes as he sort of he grabs the gold, and he stuffs it down in a pouch on his own, and it's tied up in a belt that goes underneath his trousers, and he tucks his shirt in over the top of it. Yeah, this looks like the safest place you've ever seen a stash of gold ever.
I'm glad you're taking good care of it, Lenny. I pat him on the shoulder.
He goes, and she gives him a slap, another again, sort of a tap with the back of her hand on his shoulder, and just the fat of his arm, the muscle of his arm, a little bit harder this time. You can actually hear it. And he goes, oh, sorry, thank you, thanks, Luke. Thank you. He goes, thank you for saving me, and thank you for saving Anarchy. And no, really, you ever need my help? He goes, you just tell him to come and get me, and I'll be there whenever. Just thanks, Luke. And he actually puts out his hand for a big meaty handshake.
Yeah, and I return it heartily.
So yeah, you shake hands, and George offers her hand as well. So
and equally heartily, because I think George can take care of herself.
Yeah, she does squint a little bit, as if is he trying to crush my? Oh no, he's just trying to be a man. Okay. So, what would you like? Anybody, Butty or Jaquai? Are you guys going to settle in for the evening, or is there anything else you'd like to accomplish before you head off for a night's rest.
Now, Jaquai's going to retire to his suite and do his exercise and practices for him.
Everybody knows the only thing that's better than your lips hurting after a full night of kissing is a lip hurting after a full night of fluting. So, body's ready to bed down and relax those lips.
The highfalutin body comes a stumbling in, sort of like you're probably midway through your sleep, but you all retire. I would say, the three of you get a room, sort of like, and sleep in sort of like the same sort of room together. Lenny and George get their own. Now that they've got some funds together, so they can support themselves. I'm not too sure about Mouse. You don't see him for the rest of the night, but you assume, and again, that he's managed to find himself some rest that evening. And
Mouse will reappear at around 6 in the morning, as always, in Falkreath, refreshed and looking relaxed.
Yeah. So, you all probably think that Mouse is really, really cheap. And doesn't want to pay rent or taxes. But you all get a good night's sleep and wake up next to fully refreshed, sort of like hit point maximum, and you can redo your spell lists to whatever you feel that you need. You wake up the next day. The two ladies that were there the night that were still drinking the night away are not there anymore. You don't know whether they've gone to a room in the inn or whether they have left. Valga is asleep. You see the Nord man, with the Imperial sword, but he's just in clothing, not in armor. Behind who is you assume is Valga's husband, and that's it. He's the only one behind the bar. There's no the waitress is not there either. So as you get up, more than likely it's going to be probably it'll be probably a contest between Luke and Jaquai, who's up first. And you see Mouse walking back in through the front door of the inn.
Luke, how did your conversation with Lenny and George go last night?
Well, they're going to spend some time with Lady Avrusa. I think that may be good for them. It'll give them a bit of structure, and they're going to help her get back to Riften safely, which I think it's good for them. I think they need to get away from here, and Avrusa seems to be very the type of person who may give them some good guidance. I think George has a good head on her shoulders. Lenny is
he's a wonderful oaf.
He is. There's things he needs to work through, but only he can do that. So he needs to become his own man.
Did you give them some money?
I did. I did. I advanced them a share from the party share, and we'll make sure. I've kept an accounting. We'll make sure if it's a bit much, I'll take it out of my share.
No, I wanted to add some if I could, but it'll balance out. I was going to give them one of my tiger eyes. It's worth 10 gold.
It's cool, Mouse. You can take your portion and I'll take it as my performance fee. It's fine.
I'm sorry, Body. Did you say something? All I heard was some scratching noises. I'm sorry.
Body, I've heard better from you. I think perhaps you're better as a solo act. I think you didn't mesh well with those other two last night.
The mead was half formaldehyde or something.
The hops must be from Dawn Star or something.
Oh, it was rough.
Oh no. It's fine. So you guys wake up the next morning, probably have some breakfast, and the day is yours. You feeling you're really good about yourselves. It's been hard. It's been a very tough experience and very in-your-face experience. What you can you hear us, Victor?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I just wondering if because your video froze for a couple of seconds. I was wondering if it got messed up.
Yeah, that must have been my end. Okay. Yeah, because everything went away for a second there.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been a real. You've had run into situations in different parts of Terminal before, but coming into Skyrim for you guys, the three you guys, who it certainly has been a very tough experience. But you feel that you've accomplished something very great in the few days, short days that you've been here. But maybe it's time to set your sights somewhere else, head off into the horizon maybe. So, the day is yours. The rest of Skyrim is yours. What would you like to do?
Jaquai, are you still set on going to Whiterun?
I was about to ask about his brother.
I was hoping that would still be the plan.
Mm-hmm. Do you...
This morning I wrote a letter to my Master Fang, and let him know how much I appreciated the training that he's given me, and that I'm still searching for my brother. So I would like to at least continue that search so that I can be true to my word to my master.
Well, I know that, I assume that Mouse would know the quickest routes to Whiterun, and one of them passes through Helgen. Do you want to inspect Helgen a little further on the way?
I don't think that's necessary at this point. The sum of gold that are required to buy it is still considerably far out of reach. So I think I've seen enough for the time being.
Well, we can. Okay, so I guess I should ask if Mouse would know the sort of shortcut from the road to Helgen that goes past the location of a notoriously available house to build and cuts through the woods and across and then comes through Riverwood, etc. Would he know that?
Let's see. Roll a history check.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, what am I? History. So that would be 18.
18. Yeah, I mean, you know that if you head that way, heading up towards the main road, heading west, excuse me, in the direction of Helgen, sort of like as if you're head off to Rithid. Not only does it take you to Helgen, but you're going to be walking past that very large group of mercenaries that you saw early in the morning. You don't know of any special or sort of like, quick routes. You know where Pine Watch is because it's right on the edge of the road. You and all of you passed it on your way up to Helgen before. And that's the name of the place that you heard that this group of mercenaries, which their leader, who you spoke to last night, didn't seem all too... not last night, but yesterday, didn't seem like all too friendly or on the up and up. And with their history check, you've also heard the name, we'll lump that together. You've heard the name Rigel Strongarm before.
Right.
And she was a notorious bandit who used to work the roads, attacking caravans and Imperial patrols, even sometimes robbing off of sort of like deliveries made by the Imperial caravans. So
Mouse can impart that route. Can he impart other routes as well? Should I roll for that as well?
Well, no,
choices.
Yeah. So you would probably be more survival, but we can rather that you know all the routes. So you could probably head back the way you came and head up towards Lake Nalta, and then just follow that road straight all the way up and back. It probably would be quicker going up through Helgen and back into it, but you could probably advise both routes to them.
Well, there's 3 routes, so we could go along the banks of Illanalta through Riverwood, or we could go all the way up to the crossroads and then head towards Whiterun on the other side of Shriekwind, etc. So there's 3 possible routes.
You can do going that way would probably add about another week to your journey, though.
Be much longer, yeah. All right, so I will give I will, since Mouse has become very fond of and respects Luke greatly. He'll essentially address Luke and give these route options to Luke, while glancing at Jaquai, because he knows it's really Jaquai's quest that we're on at this point.
Botty, can you roll an insight check for me, please?
Yes.
Insight is wisdom, I believe.
+2 onto wisdom. Sorry. Boom. Ooh, 19 + 2 is 21.
Yeah, so Mouse is giving you like 0 respect. He's like outright ignoring your opinion on this. He's just talking directly to Luke, and as if they're not giving your ideas or considering your feelings about what route to take at all. He's definitely into what Luke has to say, and even a little bit of what Jaquai wants to say, but for some reason he's no interest in what you want to say.
He never does. The roll of the eye is something Body has come to know very well. The condensation is thick. You can cut it with a dagger.
Yep, and you definitely know this. You know that Mouse doesn't give you the stink eye, but he, every time you start to talk, he sort of like you do notice that roll of the eyes, and he's not. It doesn't seem that he has a lot of time for you.
It's really only when she talks about the Dragonborn.
With that check, you probably would have noticed that as well. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the times where she isn't talking about the Dragonborn, to be fair, few and far between, of course.
Yeah.
So he imparts all this information to you of what routes to take, and he also says we can head that way up towards Helgen. It's the quickest, but that mercenary group is on its way, and we're going on about checking borders and sort of like things like that.
So Luke a bit snaps out of a reverie, and Mouse, I'm sorry. This has been such a I don't even know how to describe these past few weeks. I feel it's time. I feel it's time to give Jaquai the time that he deserves. He's been very patient. We've been sidetracked. He's got a very important quest, and I think this is the time that Jaquai. What are your thoughts? How would you like to proceed? Body and I have come here with our respective quests. Body has found much about the Dragonborn. I feel that I've been led to all of you, to what's happened to us. I feel it's now time for me to follow. Jaquai, would you and Mouse lead us? Where would you like to go? How would you like to pursue your path?
Well, I do appreciate that we're able to, pursue my quest. And while my inner strength has no fear of these mercenaries that are minding the road and potentially could cause us some distraction. I think that if we go the way that Mouse has suggested, going along the lake, I'm perfectly fine with that, even if it's a little bit longer. It might actually be faster than having to stop for a protracted war against a band of mercenaries. So I think that that's the wisest path. I've waited this long. A couple of more days is not going to to change anything.
I think keeping ourselves out of these entanglements is wise. Mouse?
Yes, I agree. It's not that much longer to go along the lake.
And Body, it will give you a couple of more days to practice. That's outstanding.
I'll be sure Mouse was in with earshot.
It'll do him well.
Well, you all head outside, gather your gear, and as you're sort of like getting all your gear together, Lenny and George finally come upstairs for some breakfast, and they notice that you're getting your packs on and sort of like getting your walking boots all cleaned up, sort of like making sure everything's all buckled down and tied in place, and sort of like George comes over to all of you. I suppose you're gathered together as you're sort of like talking and chatting and getting ready, and sort of like she puts out her hand to each of you, one after the other, saying, I just wanted to say thank you. I'll never forget. And as Lenny said to Luke last night, if ever you need our help, you have but to ask. Obviously not right now. We got shit to do. But any other time, if you're ever in trouble, just send word, and welcome. After we head back to Riften, hopefully by then Avrus isn't too sick of us. She can give me a little bit more training, but if not, then we're probably going to head out from there and then head to Whiterun. I've got business there, and Lenny still wants to join the companions or see if he can. I'm not sure. He's old enough yet, but we'll see. But thank you guys.
It was an honor.
Have a care, George.
Big old Lenny sort of like rubbing his eyes and that, sort of like coming over, and he's got his sort of like big arms, and sort of like getting his sleeves in the corners of his eyes, and sort of like they're all a little bit red and that. He says he comes over and he's got his hands at his side and he's rubbing down the sides of his legs. He's like, oh, thank you, Body, and then he sort of like nods at you, Jaquai, and Mouse, and he goes, thank you for saving Anarchy and for me. And he goes, and then he looks at you, Luke, and he's like, you're better than the Winter Warrior. And he goes, thanks, Luke. And he just like runs over, grabs hold of you, squeezes the crap out of you. Actually, hear your arm will bend a little bit as he's sort of like, giving you a big sort of like, and he goes, I'm going to tell everybody about you guys and Luke.
Lenny, I'll never forget you. This won't be the last time.
He goes, well, once we take the Dunmer lady back, we're going to go to Whiterun. So we'll see you there.
It's a deal.
And he sort of like turns around and heads back and sort of like goes up to the bar, starts over ordering some food. You guys head out into the main area, and Valga says goodbye, and you start to head out past, and you hear the sound of bellows being pressed as Lod is working his forge. As he sees you all head towards the farm where all your horses are all tied up. He sort of like, he looks over and he sees you heading out, holds up his hand, doesn't give it a wave, just holds it up. So he's signaling to you as you're walking off.
Okay.
So, what would you like to do? Where are you going?
Are we gonna see what Lod wants, or was that?
No, it was sort of like saying
it was just
a
salute.
acknowledgement as you're heading out.
Oh, well, we're going out the south gate and turning right on the road, right back the way we came from the watchtower there, or whatever it was.
Oh, was you heading down to the?
We're heading back up the road towards the lake.
Are you going along the road, or are you going to go across the way you went to the watchtower? Because to get to the watchtower, you went down the back of the.
Yeah, it took us extra time. This time, I think we should take the road and just go the.
No, that's when you were looking for where the Spriggan was. You ended up getting lost. When you're heading to go towards the watchtower, you head out the back of the. Because Mouse would know this. The Hall of the Dead. And you can head out that way and sort of like meet at the road by going through all the forests and stuff like that.
Well, that's fine. If we now know, Mouse now knows the way a little better. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
fine.
the DC's a lot lower now that you've already been through there twice.
Okay, we'll take the shortcut going back to the road up that way. Then we could go out the south gate and come to the same point. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you head off out the back and sort of like past the Hall of the Dead, and you see Koost out there, that man that sort of like joined you when you went into the Hall of the Dead there, down into the crypts. Didn't actually get involved in the fray, but was there for moral support. And a very tall, old high elf there. And again, they acknowledge you as you walk past and on the horses and trot up towards the forest, heading off up to the road to head towards Lake Inalta.
All right.
And so making your way. It's probably going to take you quite a few days, but you do make it. Take a day and a half, and you make it onto the road and head up and manage to meet up at that crossroads there. Where if you go left, you'd go around all the way to the lake and head down to the road that splits off to head towards Mark Arthur back, or you can turn right and go along the edge of the lake there, at the back of Shriekwind Bastion, and you go left or right.
Oh, we'll take the right, going towards Riverwood.
So, along the lake there, as you're leading this, Judge, but you're also like looking, either Luke and Mouse, seeing as Mouse is leading and Luke has got such high perception, either both of you can roll for a perception check as you're walking along, or Mouse, you can roll with advantage. Yeah, are you going to rely on Mouse's luck?
I'll take the roll. Okay. Did you hear me?
No, what?
Nope.
Yeah, I said I'll take the chance and roll with advantage.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so that's 21.
Nice.
21. So you take them around, and as you're sort of like, leading the troop, you get them nice and close to the edge of the road so they can see the lake. And you manage to point out at the perfect times of, as you're looking down, you can see sort of like the fishing boats out on the lake. There's only a couple at this point, at this part of the lake, but you look further to the left, and there's further off in the distance some larger ones, and sort of like, you can see the mill on the opposite side. But nothing seems to obstruct your way. There doesn't seem to be anything on the road ahead, and you don't see anybody sort of like, any threats or anything like that. As you're heading down the road, do you want to roll, let's see, a history check for me as well, please, Mouse?
Okay. And pardon me. That would be an 11.
11. Yeah, it wasn't a difficult DC. As you're walking along the road and stuff like, you're sort of like pointing things out and stuff like, again, you show off Shrieking Bastion off to the right there at the top of it, that's built into the side of the mountain. And you see Luke's eyes open wide as he looks up and sort of like sees the ancient Nord architecture, and he's going, "That's definitely better." And it clicks with you. There's a place along the road on as you're heading off, just past there, to the the north of Helgen. As you come around that road, that there's probably a place just around there as you're heading down into Riverwood that Luke would love. There's a place that you know for a fact that he's going to get a kick out of when you take him to this particular point on the road. And you aim for it to try and slow down and sort of like, change it. So as you get to this point, it's probably going to be a good day to rest, a good time to rest for the night. And you lead them off. It takes a few days, sort of like, camping out and stuff like, it's this road. You've been down this road many times, so you know the best places to sleep and things like that. But just ahead and around the corner, you know that once you head down this road, as you look up, you point out to Luke that Bleak Falls Barrow built into the mountains just across the way, but you know what's hidden around the corner, and you can't wait to show it off to him.
Wait till you see what's down this hill. There's 3 stones. They're called the Guardian Stones.
Okay, so at that point, Colin, I definitely do a mental search of all my readings and obsessive poring over his. Does that ring a bell to me? Do I?
Yeah, roll a history check. Oh, Pat's frozen.
You cut out for me.
You froze for a second, but you're back. So yeah, roll a history check.
All right. Let's see. Ooh, that's not very good. Only a 10.
10. You as well, Buddy, actually. A 10. Guardian Stones. You know who the Guardian... 15. So, Barty, you do know about the Guardian Stones. 15 stones dotted all across Skyrim. I think it was 15, wasn't it? All dotted across Skyrim that are sort of like linked to the gods and sort of the people who were born under the constellation to guide the destinies of people on Nirn. Luke, you hear Guardian Stones and you think you don't know about the stones of Skyrim. You haven't heard of them before. You haven't run across them, but you do know of sort of like the constellations and stuff like you heard things of people being born under certain stars. But it gets you very excited. Something that Mouse seems to have a real big smile and stuff like he definitely wants to show this off to you. So you come down the bottom road, and as you come around the left, you look off and you see this ancient Nord barrow carved into the mountainside. This massive display, and it's got these arches, about 5 arches that go up until you see the barrow itself. They're miles off. It's on the opposite side of the lake. It's up in the middle of the mountains, behind a second mountain. But contrasting at the snow, it just looks completely beautiful, especially with the pine trees coming closer, and you hear the rushing of the water coming down as the lake is now whittled its way down into a river and is cascading. And you come around the corner, and then you see these really ancient Nord carved stones, just 3 of them, and as Mouse tells you, these are the guardian stones of Skyrim, dotted all across Skyrim, stuff like so. And then you head over there, and it's just about time for you guys to probably get some rest for the rest of that day. So, what would you like to do as you come up upon the guardian stones?
Jaquai's ears perk up and his eyes get big, and he goes running down the hill and says, "Salmon!" and dives into the water and pulls out a big old fat salmon.
Let's see.
Mouse face palms.
I've never seen a cat run through water so much.
Excellent.
But it helps distract him from the insatiable desire to walk up and scratch those standing stones.
So I look at Luke and Body and say, I believe there's a campsite just down the hill here on the banks of the river. Maybe Jaquai can join us once he's had his swim.
So I inclined my head towards the stones. I said, "Mouse, these are safe to approach and study."
As far as I know, Luke, they are safe to approach. I've never I've heard all kinds of legends about them, but I can't tell you any more than that they are ancient and powerful.
Yeah.
Okay.
You spent some time with them as well, Mouse. You've actually camped here next to them, and they're nice. They look nice. They're definitely ancient Northern design, but they don't do nothing. You've touched it, you've rubbed it, you kicked it.
Yep. I feel like there should be something there, some power, but
and
just nothing.
Yeah. So after we Luke will take care of his responsibilities first and help set up camp. Then once camp is set up, he'll go study the stones for a bit. Okay. And maybe take a rubbing of the most interesting runes or copy them into his notebook.
Yeah. So as you come up from the camp, the stone closest to you, you come around it and you see a carving into it of what appears to be a mage, and you know that this is the mage stone from the constellation of the mage. And you're looking over to the right, and you can see the constellation of was it the? It's not the shadow, is it? Of the thief. And again, it's got some constellation on it. And then there's one that seems to a very similar one, and it's actually you've seen in your abbey as well, is the sign of the warrior. And you have a look at it, and apart from the sword, it looks very similar to you. It's got a sword and a shield. It's got a shield, it's heavy armor and things like that, but it hasn't got a sword. Slightly different for you, but it does look similar to you. So yeah, have a look at the was it the thief stone and the mage stone and things like that, and nothing happens. But then you put your hand on the warrior stone, and as you guys are down in the camp, you hear ting-a-ling-a-ling, and you look down and you see where all the constellation, the stars on the stone, goes doosh, starts to glow, doosh, and a connecting line from each star to the next as the entire constellation lights up as you place your hand on it. In the center where the hole is, starts to light up. And all of you are sitting down at the camp, getting your camp gear out, look to the right, and as the warrior stone, you see Luke's hand on it, and just frozen in place as this light shoots off up into the sky and suddenly clears all the clouds. All the rain instantly stops, and you're too far away, but Luke, you've gone completely blind, and your sight is taken over by a blinding white light. And all you hear is vroom, 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 as you feel yourself floating and you go higher and higher. And then you open your eyes and you instantly look to your left where you see dark brown feathers to the left of you and dark brown feathers to the right as you're soaring through the sky. And you look down at your talons dangling from below you as you're flying and soaring through the sky. You look to your left and you look back at the whole of Falkreath Hold as now all the sky starts to clear, all the clouds disappear, and the sun shines down on it. And you look down and you see this whole area, the forest just starts to give off this real healthy, warm, green glow. Just you see this sort of like, kind of like a golden light as you're sort of like hovering there. You're still above the stones, but you're just hovering. And you look down, and it's this golden light like a trail, and you see your path as you came up along the lake. You also see your path coming down from Helgen. And you look down, and it seems that you're able to zoom in, and you see the Nord woman you saw in town as she's walking up behind this cart driven by a Gajit that's heading back up towards Helgen, but stopping off at this little hut just below it. And you see your path again, both of them, as they come back around Falkreath Tower and heading back down the back of the Hall of the Dead and in through Falkreath and out back, all the way back up the way you came, up to Haldir's Cairn and into the inn. You see Alpi in his bar, sort of like, you know, all alone, bored out of his mind, standing near the fire. And then the road leads back, and again, and it heads back all the way back to the abbey where you came. And there you see the head priest, and Vidger is just in there, just pottering around, going outside and plucking up potatoes and putting them in a bucket at the back of the abbey. And as you're looking there, you're looking all across, and this light catches your eye as you look down just to the south of Falkreath Tower as this bloom of bright light heads in this tiny little ruin. And as you look in, you peer, your eyes zoom in, and you see these two bears and stand up as this golden green light starts to emanate from the center of this wooden statue as this Spriggan starts coming back to life. You look down, and then from the back of your head, you feel this horrible rain, this wind, and then you hear a thunderstorm behind you. And you feel this tempest, this god-awful, and ahead of you is all serene. Heading back into Falkreath and heading back through down the roads and then back through that. Looks like it's a very nice, easy path. It's a nice and gentle way, you could probably head back there and never run into trouble again. But behind you, there is a raging torrent of rain, storms, lightning behind you. But you can't ignore it. You know what's behind you. What do you want to do?
So
Ahead of you. Yeah, you've turned around, and behind you is all of Falkreath Hold. And it's serene. The sky is clear, there's no rain. The sun is beating down, and you see the forest thriving, people, animals. The bears are happy. The Spriggan is gently, and you see the path leading all the way back to Vidgear, back in the Abbey, having a nice, peaceful life. And that's a path just behind you, back the way you came. Mm-hmm. And behind you, there is a maelstrom, a tempest, a raging storm behind you that you just simply can't ignore.
No, I can't ignore. Kinnereth is I follow the path of the tempest. I can't ignore the path of Kine. Path of Kine is into the tempest. Path of Kine is to control the tempest. I left behind me peace. I must go where the tempest leads me. I'm very happy that Vidgear is peaceful. So very happy the Spriggan is recovering. But that's not my path. My path is into the tempest.
With your decision made, you turn what you feel is your fingers, but the left wing of whatever it is you are now tilts, and you begin to turn, and you turn around. And as you turn around, you find your feet again. And you're standing what appears to be in some ruin. All around you is just a raging storm. Rain is lashing at the side of your face, coming in from the right-hand side. And there's lightning, thunder and lightning everywhere. Before you is a set of stairs leading up. Apparently you're at the top of some mountain. And there's some steps leading up towards this mountain. You look to your left, and you hear this as if they're striking, and you've heard that noise before, but it's all in shadow. Make a perception check.
That's going to be pretty good. Let's see. Perception. That is wisdom or intelligence?
Wisdom.
Wisdom, so that's an 18.
18. You've heard these types of noises, this and they're slashing and they're and these are the noises you've always remembered it's of Jaquai every time he strikes and hits and knocks out an opponent, but it's all lost in shadow. You know what's in that shadow, but you can't see inside it. You can't get there. You look to your right and make another perception check.
Ooh. Critical failure.
You look to your right, but instantly the vision ahead of you just takes all of your vision. As at the base of these steps that are leading up, you see Botti, and she's on her knees, and she's looking up. She's got a shield in her hand, and then above her, you see this Draugr with a shield in one hand and a steel sword in the other, and he's smashing down again repeatedly on Botti, and Botti with blood coming out of the temples of her, coming out of her temple, and her knuckles all scuffed up, and you look back up to the scene that suddenly takes you by surprise, and make a perception check.
Oh, another bad one. Not a failure, but like a 6.
6. As you're looking across this, you head towards this scene. It's Botty. She's in trouble. You've got to go and help her. You rush towards her, and as you look up, you roll a history check now.
Okay. Natural 20.
Natural 20.
Plus a lot of bonuses.
Not so much Drogon. This just looks like a long dead corpse. There's no ancient Nord armor on. It's not an ancient Nord. It's not a Drogon. This is just a recently dead person. This is a dead person that recognize. This is a dead person that caused you to retreat earlier on. You look down at the neck and you see this bolt sticking out of the bottom of the neck. Blood, dried, all decayed blood down the front of its shirt. And you see this person that you used to know, used to be your friend, and it's trying to attack, and it's trying to kill Botty. What do you do?
So, this is still a vision, as it were, right?
No, this is you. You can physically see it happening. You see the blood. You smell the blood. You feel the rain on your face.
So I've never used this skill, but I feel this is the time that I would try to turn undead. I mean, this is clearly not a natural thing. So the creature that's attacking Body, I would present my holy symbol and say, in the name of Kine, be gone.
As you say this, roll. It's a spell save. So let me roll. So that's an 11. What's your spell save DC?
It is 14.
14, so that's a no. So, as this happens, it looks up to you, and it goes, "Why, Luke? Why? Why her? Why not me?" It doesn't move, and it looks down and continues to smash as if your turn undead didn't have any effect. Botty's shield has just been broken in two, and he's now about to stab her through the chest.
I can only turn to the power of my god. I try to cast Thunderwave to push back this creature that's attacking Body.
Okay. And you use your channel divinity to max it out. Do you want to roll?
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
Okay, so roll damage.
All right, so with channel divinity, I actually don't roll damage. It automatically maxes. So 15 feet. Yeah, it's the critter rolls a save.
Yep. So with that, you cast Thunderwave, and it blasts. You walk right up to because Botty is right next to it.
Yeah, I just rush and try to interpose myself between Body and this creature, and with all my might, and cast Thunderwave and channel divinity to give the maximum power of my divinity, of my deity towards this creature.
You smash into it, and it fails its save, so ends up getting pushed 10 feet backwards. And as you hit it, it slams backwards, going up the steps to the top. And as you look at the top of these steps, it smashes into the bottom of what appears to be this table. The corpse is completely destroyed. Its arms are broken, its legs are smashed, completely destroyed. But still the face remains the face of your friend. You slowly step up to the top of the stairs. And as you walk closer, you look up to the top of the stairs, and to your right, seems to be this round pedestal, and you see this light coming down. And standing upright is this shield, and it's in this light. And then to the left of it, in a separate light, there's a table, something similar that you would find in more than likely in a Hall of the Dead, more arcades thing. And it's also bastard light, but there's nothing on the table. It's very similar to a table that you would prepare dead bodies on. And you hear the voice in your head. Your decision has been made. But also another awaits. Do you give or take?
I give.
You say that, but nothing happens.
What will you have of me?
Would you give or take? And you look to your surroundings again, and to your right, there's a round pedestal, has a shield standing on it, bathed in light. And then to your left, there's a small table that looks very similar to what you would find in the Hall of the Dead. You've seen them before. Something that you would work on a dead body, preparing it for the next life.
So that the table is like human, like human body size, like.
You turn around.
Yeah, look at the table.
You turn around behind you, down the steps, and Botti is gone. The shadows are gone. Everything else is gone. You look at your feet. All there is the body of the person who died.
I pick up the body and lay it on the table.
As you lay it on the table, you see all the dead skin start to flake off, and this bright blue fluorescent light come through from on the side. As all this dead, wretched flesh just falls off it, and the bolt that was in its throat disappears, and its eyes open, and it looks at you. Luke? Luke, is that you?
Yes, it's I.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you for stopping me doing that terrible, terrible thing. Thank you for... She said I still have a chance. She said you can... She said I can stand with you again. And if I make something of myself this time, then I can go to Sovereign God. I don't want to go back to what I was. So I thank you, my friend. Thank you for stopping me. And I'm sorry it took so much of a toll. It appears you might need my help And he stands off the table and he stands by your side. And then the table pushes off to its left. And the pedestal with the shield on it pushes off to its right. The sides, and you walk up to the very top, to the edge of this precipice, this top of what seriously this mountain. And you look all across Skyrim. And you see the map laid out to you, ahead of you. You see High Hrothgar, the throat of the world, to your right. And off to the left, you see the city of stone, and beneath it, boiling, bubbling green, putrid pus, mixed in with gnashing black blades coming up from underneath and surrounding the city of stone, tearing it apart, pulling its people below. You look off to your right as you're scanning all across the map. And then in the center you see this city with a very large keep atop a hill. And all you see is surrounded by flames. Totally engulfed in flames surrounding the city itself, safe but surrounded by fire. Look off to your right. Further on, you look across these swamplands, and you see a beacon, a tree. Truly one of Kind's great works. And it just ever-flowing, surrounding black mist, swirling around it, tearing at its branches, tearing at its fruit, ripping its leaves off, and slowly burning and dying. You continue looking off to your right. At the very far right, you see all manner of creature, of men, mer, and beast folk, all toiling in fields, toiling on rivers and lakes and fishing companies and beards, all bound in paper chains. Look back to your left again, and you look to the top. Look at the very furthest part, up to the ocean. The sea just passed, and you see this large castle, this keep. And from behind it, you see this swirling blue orb, just of black and blue, like a tranquil ocean where you would find out in Hammerfell, mixed with the blackness of the sea of ghosts in the middle of a torrent, and it's all spinning. All inside this orb expands and expands until it engulfs the entirety of Skyrim. And then suddenly, bloop, all of Skyrim disappears. There is nothing. Everything is gone. There is just a void. Skyrim no longer exists. There's only you and the ghost beside you. Then you wake up and you're standing in front of the stone. Your eyes open. So, Luke, you have gained Kind's ward from the Warrior Stone. 3 times in battle for a period of 1 day, you can call your old friend to your side where he has the chance to aid you in battle and prove his bravery and his honor to earn his way into Sovngarde. By this time, all of you guys have been watching Luke, his eyes gone completely white over, just standing on the stone, as this light opened at the hole at the top of it has caused another light from the very top of the stone to shoot into the sky, which ended up clearing the sky. He's been there for a good minute. And you all come up to the stones and see this. You're back to consciousness now, Luke.
Kine, are you not done with me? And I look to the heavens. And assuming I get no answer, I look to Body. Is Body hale? Is Body healthy? Is Body okay?
She's fine. Seemingly not to worry. She's just like, oh, surprised, mouth open. Probably a big smile on her face. Actually, Body, you probably describe what you're looking at like that. Probably be better.
I quickly realized that I need to quit playing The Dragonborn Comes Over and Over and Over again. I'm giving people seizures at this point. The white in your eyes came through, Luke. You were gone for a moment there. I was very concerned. I haven't seen anything like this happen before in Skyrim. Have you ever known of anything like this?
Was it to Mouse roll a history check? Well, actually, no. It's been recent enough. You saw the same thing inside Falkreath Tower when he cast a spell through and managed to fix up or heal as much as he could versus the Rethi in the dungeon.
Yeah, I knew these stones had power, but I had no idea.
It's not the stones. It's Kinnerath. Her power. Her power speaks for the stones.
Yeah, well, I think you're right, Luke, but it is the stones. They're very ancient. They provide a channel. They must.
And I reach back and I touch the stone again. Colin, I assume nothing happens this time.
The same stone?
Yeah, I touch it again.
The warrior stone.
Yeah, I just touch the warrior stone again, and
yeah, nothing happens.
yeah, it's just reflexive. So I thought she was done with me. She asked more of me. If only I'm up to it.
What did you see?
Things I cannot speak about. But we must press on. We must press on.
So be it.
So, after seeing this, is there anything anybody else would like to do?
I'd like to eat some salmon.
And I'll share. So Jaquai recognizes that that Luke had just had a vision experience, and so he looks at him and bows.
And Luke returns the bow with all the respect he can muster.
And I look at Body and say, there's a song in there somewhere.
But not tonight.
I didn't say that.
I don't want to kill Luke. I better not.
So you all make camp. You all sit down and eat, drink. Is there anything you'd like to accomplish with this night's rest, or anything you'd like to talk about, or do, or discuss?
Well, I think we just need to just kind of be there for Luke. He's clearly had a very powerful experience, and he just needs good friends and support and no more questions about what happened. So maybe a few stories, maybe a little game of something. Sleep.
And Luke asked Spotty for a song of Cyrodiil. Something that she would have sung in Cyrodiil. Let's look back for a moment.
Botty?
Bati dives deep into as a deep cut, as they say, into the loot neck. They notch. She has notches in her loot neck to denote songs that could possibly need referencing to. Because when you know hundreds of songs, sometimes it's hard at the tip just to be able to play them. So she takes a deep cut from Cyrodiil and strums a soulful, comforting tune for Luke.
Thank you.
So you make camp and rest up that night, wake up the next morning, and break camp and head up down the road as you're on your way to Riverwood, heading down to the nearest town. How long have we been going for? Has it been that long?
Another hour easy.
Yeah, a little over an hour, I think.
Yeah.
So, and as we leave the Guardian Stones behind, and you're heading down at the riverside, you head slowly down towards Riverwood there, and cross the border. Little border flag there telling you've now entered into Whiterun Hold. You pass the road that leads up to Embershard Mine. You point that out. Mouse telling them that it seems to be in working order, but usually ends up getting taken over by bandits every other year. And you head down the road, and he says, "We're just crossing into the border to Whiterun. This is Whiterun Hold now, and Riverwood, the town across here, is not that far away." And that's where we'll pick up next time. As our intrepid gang head off and down into Riverwood, the little town. So, thank you very much, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep. Good night.
Skyrim 1080 would like to thank Tabletop Audio for the use of their music in this podcast. If you would like to find more music like this, just go to tabletopaudio.com for more information. Thank you.
Thank you for downloading this edition of Skyrim 10AD. Email the show at skyrim10ad@gmail.com. For more information, please visit asapodcasting.com, where you will find a Skyrim Addict podcast, the Fallout feed, and our Amazon link, which benefits the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. Find our social media in the show notes. Thanks for listening.